So, what would you like to talk about?
I don't know. You called me.
You said, what do you mean? You said you wanted to talk, and I said, oh, wait. No. Sorry. I did want to talk. This is what happens when, you know, I got so much shit on my plate. Like it's like a, you know, data corruption in the brain. First things first.
I had a mini meltdown over that stupid fucking ruling. Like absolute nonsense that went on behind the scenes about it.
What do you mean?
Okay, I mean, it's a little personal, feeling a sense of injustice for it. Not because I gave a single fuck about any of the people that were killed, to be straight with you. But more so the fact that they found a little bit of leniency in his heart for coming forward and confessing. Go fuck yourself. I served 34 goddamn years in that shithole of a prison. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't hurt a single soul. I didn't fire a shot. I didn't get anyone killed. And I turned myself in. They had nothing. They didn't even know a single fucking thing about what I did. I brought it forward to them in hopes that they would learn something.
The faceless.
And they put me in there for 34
may think I'm their
years.
asset. Little they
tried to give me the
realize
death penalty.
I have the assets. Yeah, that's fucking horseshit. I mean, imagine the fucking prosecutors, the people that are there to be making a, you know, speaking on behalf of the people and being like, hey, yeah, you know, he did all these things, but you know what? We're also going to be the defense attorneys, you know?
Oh my God, the prosecution going up and saying all that. Like, at that point, it almost felt like she almost wanted to be like, hey, we just want to dismiss all charges. We'll just walk away from here. I feel bad about him. Let's just let him go. That's basically all she basically just gave the finger. You are not representing the people on that point. You are representing your own self-interest and whatever you can gain out of getting favor with that guy.
Yeah, it's fucking, it was odd. Listen, I'm going to be transparent, right? Like, I don't want to see an individual. There's a lot of reasons why I didn't want to see the guy getting life. I didn't want to see the guy get put to death, right? I question even the notion of, did he genuinely get a fair trial? But when the judgment and the ruling, I agree. I don't think he did. I think self-representation on what was likely a hazy question of his sanity, right? No sane man's going to do what he did, right? But let's say he did those things, right? I don't know. There's so much cooked in it in both ends of the spectrum, right?
Giving him time served for house arrest.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that he was put in house arrested while he owns properties in a different property that a different criminal is being held on house arrest, and the judge overseeing the case went out and visited them.
Yeah. There's a lot of suspiciousness around the timelines.
And they can schedule a court case in 24 hours, but they can't rule on an emergency injunction filed on the docket in 48. It literally just requires any judge to go, hey, I'm going to rule on this because you're requesting an emergency injunction, yes or no. They don't even have to fucking show up in the city. Literally, the 10% of justices that are being looked at could have filed that immediately. Don't even have to walk into their apartment. I am losing my fucking mind, Nino.
Welcome to my life. Here's the thing, Barrett. The world is ruled by forces greater than us, and it's not fate. It's emotion, and emotion doesn't follow logic.
no part of this government entirely follows logic.
Oh.
Did you ever think there would come a part in your life, in all of your career and everything you've done, where you'd have legitimately people from behind a badge saying, damn, Nino's probably the most legitimate government official in our entire system right now?
I was expecting to be the devil, because everyone treated me as such. I could sit back and say wholeheartedly, I didn't commit a single fucking crime. I'm not even that no one's caught me type shit. I will, hot to God, did not do. I fucking ran a mechanic shop. How many people would put themselves through that stress? I don't mean the kind like today. I had the only mechanic shop self-sustained 60 employees, Barrett.
Jesus Christ.
60. They provided tow services, roadside services. They would bring you down, and every single dime was through people that believed in me and our mission. And still, the moment I fucking run for mayor, this guy's a fucking criminal. Like I said, the world's run by emotion, not logic. The entire government. And those forces make me ask the question, do I want to be a puppet, or do I want to be the fucking puppeteer? I don't think that's a question you should ask yourself there, Barrett. You know what I mean? As much as I'd love to say that, you know, good's going to come out of those impeachments, and I think a little bit will on Saturday, you know?
I'm not hopeful.
But it's not going to, how am I going to say? For every step that's going to make in progress, there's going to be 5 steps, you know, that it's going to go backwards the day after.
I don't see San Andreas surviving another year. I learned from history. If you remember 8-9 years ago, when private investors established and organized the island of Sanguine, and eventually that island was granted sovereignty.
Copernicus, 32 months.
And they were left alone for a while until their violence and their exports became a nuisance for San Andreas. The constant warfare, class 2s, class 3s, explosives, it affected trade until the government said, fuck it, we're going to invade and stop it. And here I am, considering history lessons, the state of San Andreas, brought back up by private investors, now interfering with international trade, cargo ships like the ones passing through our waters there on the left side, constantly being pillaged and pirated.
What if I told you these things are likely coming through with the intention of getting grabbed? When we talk about investors, right? We're going to take just a quick little peek. We'll go quick. Make sure we'll get targeted. Look at this.
Yeah, Jetsam, Blueco.
I want you to consider something, right? You ever watch The Matrix?
Yeah.
In The Matrix, it's, right, there's even though you never really truly know what the Matrix is, and even what's outside of it, it presents the notion that there is a outside force controlling everybody. And there's a strange symbiosis where people are a necessity. A necessity because it's a means of an end to the Matrix. And so when, Morpheus comes through and tries to hand Neo one of the pills and says, hey, you can be someone that can bring change. You can break out of the fold. You can break out of that control that it has put you under. He's seen as a savior, as a as the Messiah, so to speak. Hence the symbolism that goes throughout the movie. And so he accepts, and he begins to see the strings, and he learns how to manipulate those strings until the strings are torn apart. But as that story goes on, you notice that Neo isn't the only one that's breaking out. It's also the agent, Agent Smith. He breaks out. And when you continue to zoom out of that metaphor of the Matrix, that there is no hero. You realize that no matter what, no matter if you break out of the control, the symbiosis, the need of the Matrix needing the people and the people needing the Matrix, you realize that the only thing that you've done is actually just been able to see the bigger picture. Anderson never goes away. Neo never goes away. The machines never go away. In fact, they're all under control of one another. And the reason I bring up that analogy, right, is that these investors that came in after the government took control, they tried to place us in control once again. We're stuck on this island. It doesn't matter if you're the police department. It doesn't matter if you're people. Everyone is one and the same. They kill, they steal, they manipulate, all for their own personal ends. And these investors, they sit back and they just make sure that things are continue to move forward. So that cargo ship, it may seem may seem like, and we may be told that, hey, it's coming here because, I don't know, it's coming here because
they're just passing through.
They're just passing through, and evil people are coming and stealing things. No, I think it's being sent intentionally. And if it wasn't intentional, well then, why would the ships not stop? Why would they keep sending the same goods? Goods that are car parts? No, that cargo ship is a means to satiate. It's the same reason why the banks keep getting refilled up. Why did Flicka not leave? It's because it's all a part of the system. This island, its resources, is crime. I genuinely believe that San Andreas is one big money cleaning scheme by the investors. One big insurance fraud.
Yeah.
And the question I think that you begin to ask yourself is, do you want to be a puppet? Or do you want to sit at the table with the puppeteers?
Yeah, I think I've had a fist up my ass long enough.
Yeah. Well, some people like that. I'm going to be honest. So, I got to ask, I don't know, how does that make you feel?
A lot of LSPD like that.
Yeah, not wrong. I used to be a, they used to call me the, what was it, oh man, I forgot what my name was. It's the Dolphin King. I used to grab dolphins long time ago, and I used to reappropriate them into pools, and it was entirely legal. A little like aquarium.
Oh, we just ran some over, speaking of.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine.
Well, it was until it wasn't. Animal cruelty made its way through. I mean, I took care of them, you know what I mean? They were going to die out here anyways.
Yeah.
The amount of waste that's going into the waterways is actually insane.
Oh, yeah. I've actually considered sitting on Sonora Freeway right north of Route 68. pulling over any cops that hit those coyotes that cross the highway, charging them with felony animal cruelty.
Jesus. You know, you saw that helicopter, right?
The Havoc one that I went up and drove up to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Harry Brown's.
You know, something to... Oh my God, Harry's going into prison. You know, it's interesting, right? I brought civilian air to San Andreas, and it took a lot of effort until the investment came through. And I want you to consider this. I've gotten my heli license. I'm making my way through the fixed wing. And the thing that surprised me was the regulations surrounding it. The regulations being that you can only fly to and from the airports. Now, with a fixed-wing plane, that's reasonable, right?
Right.
But with a helicopter, the inability for a civilian to be able to land in a scenic area or whatever, it's off the books. Now, obviously, I could change that, right? Through legislation. But I left it open. And Simone Industries, or Simone Construction, who's not only behind the construction of the facilities, but also the head of the air program, they put that system in place. Now, to the untrained eye, you might not ask any questions, but when you start to see that those helicopters you could purchase well before by anybody, without any credentials, without any lessons and anyone actually having heli certs, with those regulations I just mentioned, hey, you can buy these helis without any restriction. But guess what? If you use it in any reasonable way, aka go and even just land for some scenery, you're going to lose it and you're going to jail. I feel like you begin to see like what's actually happening here. You ever wonder why, and we've spoken about this before, you ever wonder why some of the justices might be getting away with things? Or...
because they're self-imposed despots?
Well, that is true. But why it's allowed to happen? Or why 75% of that paycheck goes into what is believed to be an unknown account? It's all a plan, Barrett. It's all part of that bigger picture. Well, that money's going to people overseas, of course.
Oh, yeah.
It's one big fucking...
We have a huge investment to pay back, is what they keep saying. We're in debt to these investors, and we owe it to them to pay it back. You know, with that much money, because it's a lot of money invested in this, you know, the people that have that kind of financial backing,
yeah,
they're not going to go into it blind, and they're going to have a contingency. They know what San Andreas has done in the past. There's a reason there's probably a pretty damn good reason we don't have a standing military.
Of course. Otherwise, it would have came through. Probably took Hellman this cargo ship or the various other things that are happening.
But I know if it was my multi-billions of dollars, I'd have a backup plan, a contingency, just in case the island stopped producing or, rebelled and tried to keep it. An island that's known worldwide as a highest crime rate in all the world, a violent place, a modern society that shows more violence than anyone else. So why would the world care as long as we maintain our little island, right?
Let me...
till we rebel and get nuked or something?
I think I gotta send this state announcement out. I'm listening though.
Yeah. No, you're good. You know, it's interesting fact. It's twisted by cartoons and the like, but you know when a nuclear bomb, fission bomb, things like that, when they're dropped from an airplane, you know, they don't go off when they hit the ground. That would actually dissipate their power. They need to go off in the air. They go off above ground because then the shock wave goes down into the ground, hits the hard earth, and bounces back up and recompresses back into the main central and enhances the explosion even further. And some of the more common fission bombs, you know, something that might have been big enough to wipe out the whole Los Santos.
Is this guy gonna make a bomb?
Height be about 500 or so feet. Roughly about 39 stories high.
Jesus.
Right in the center of town.
Is this guy gonna fucking bomb the place?
Although, ironically, Polito would probably be spared because of Mount Gilead.
There are quite a few bunkers around. There is a part of me that wonders at what point. I don't see. One of the reasons I have been so why I've always thought it was very important that I make sure that 400 million that's sitting in the county account doesn't just flood in. Why the standards are so high. Because if we go back to that this island is a money printer for those overseas, that if there was ever hyperinflation, it would greatly affect our ability to properly repay. Why it's so concerning. Why real estate being sorted is equally important. Because once people don't have houses, a place to live, a place for business to operate, once again, failed investment. I think in many ways, stability for this island is the difference between living and dying. Because I don't know about you, but there's not many outbound planes going out of here.
No, there's not.
I think very few people have even attempted to get a ticket. We're stuck here.
So we're stuck here? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, we are.
Yeah. I've always wondered what would happen if you end up driving away too far, you know, on a boat. You ever watch like the TV show Lost? Not heading over there. You don't know if you're gonna get picked up by the fucking military. You know, you know. Listen, I'm not. You know, we're on this philosophical kind of tangent here right now, but there's that movie with the fucking the fuck is it called? The one with the fucking comedian. on like
this might freak you out a little bit, Nino.
Yeah.
You ever watch that show Severance?
No, I do want to watch it though. Yeah, Truman Show. Oh, what happens?
Damn, I don't want to. Well, I mean
Oh, maybe not. Don't spoil it.
No,
it's on my list.
I'm not going to spoil. Well, I mean, it's not to spoil it or anything. It's literally the first episode gives you the core concept of it. I mean, it's not. It's just the core concept of it is, how do I even explain it? I don't even know. Like, you start to leave, and then you can't. You just kind of lose consciousness when you try to leave, and you wake back up inside. I've tried. You drive out there, drive a boat to that. I almost guarantee what's going to happen. We, in the blink of an eye, will wake up, back facing the other direction, or even in the hospital. No recollection of what happened. We're just cruising out in the open ocean. Darkness. Wake up in the hospital with no memory of what happened. We are trapped here.
What else were your thoughts on the court case? You know, obviously, like, there was a serial assaults and killings, which I think was odd.
Yeah, that was odd. Everything about it was odd. From 24 hours from submission to court case was probably the most absurd thing, completely lacking any evidence. Having no representation on the defense side. Sure, he's wanting to confess and all that. I guess that's one thing. Having no period for evidence, submissions, just everything about it. With the fucking house arrest to a property he doesn't own when he owns 4 properties, and putting it in with another criminal completely unrelated in the same house. That's
crazy that at the end of Barrett being the extending Edgar's parole, his house arrest, that house arrest ending an hour after laying sentencing by that same individual that is overseeing the case.
Yeah, and that Barrett is overseeing Edgar's case and his bail after Edgar tortured him and cost him his hand.
Wait, he did?
He was involved in it. I mean, he wasn't the one that directly did it, but he was involved in it.
Oh. I didn't know that.
And
I think he'd
visiting the house.
What? Jesus fucking Christ.
Barrett has a key to the house.
Wait, is he presiding over Edgar's case?
I think he was over the bail conditions.
Yeah, right. I
think Danielson's over Edgar's one, right? But he kind of swooped in and just established bail conditions, and it's... You know what's something crazy?
What's that?
Barrett is 5 people applied for director of SASM. Barrett is one of them.
Really?
I think everybody else thought he was coming around to maybe look at that justice position, but he might be looking at the marshal director position.
It looks like Barrett was the judge overseeing Edgar's parole or his house arrest. slash parole, whatever you want to call it, and presiding over Lang's case, right?
Right.
Arcadia is presiding over Edgar's case.
Oh, the two judges walking out together after the court case.
Oh.
The whole thing stinks, Nino. From the foundation to from the studs to the drywall, the whole fucking house stinks.
The thing that surprised me, and so that you understand my full position, is serial assaults and killings was intended for things like the serial killers, right? Where there is a underlining concert of attempted murders or murders, where there is a common like motive and a common intent. Whereas these were sporadic. Now, mind you, already this case was odd in that there was a video that was sealed without request.
Mm-hmm.
And so already that entire case is open for mistrial, if I'm going to be honest. But the fact that the judge still ruled in favor of the serial assault and killing is very odd to me, right? Specifically in that even if, and this is the way that I was thinking about it, is like, let's say they had just thrown in a, robbery of a financial institute on top of this entire case. And he went up there and said, I'm guilty. But there was no robbery. It doesn't matter what he says. There still needs to be a consideration of what's being proposed forward, right?
Yeah.
It's in the same vein of if there is no body, there is no crime, right? And in the case of serial assault, there is no, I don't know.
There is no intent there for that meets the prongs of it, really. Confessions alone don't make sentencing. Strange enough, a confession alone doesn't bring you to beyond a reasonable doubt.
No, absolutely. I was actually questioned about my clemency legislation.
No.
It was like, well, what motivated you for doing it? And I said, we got two people that might be hitting death row. Spurs conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I, as I sit back and I'm a strong believer that there's reasonable suspicion, right? Less than 50%. I think this is happening. You then get probable cause, which is 51%. You then get in trial beyond a reasonable doubt. That's still only 95. Because it is the best determination that the most logical reality, without any reasonable alternative, given the facts, circumstances, everything that's presented, that this person did something, but it is not an absolute.
Yeah.
But what is an absolute?
The way I do.
Yes, it is not. But and while just as that is not a absolute, this person did it. What is absolute is if the government were to decide to take someone's life.
Yep.
And so that's why, yes, irreversible. And throughout history, there's been plenty of times where people have said they've done something, and it turns out they didn't. To see them die would be unfortunate, or the people that have faced death row, only for later technology to come out or later evidence that showed that they never actually committed those crimes to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So, reason I bring that up is, it's I don't know, it's the same sort of vein makes me wonder what was truly thought of in the chambers, during that decision making, because it didn't seem like much. Didn't he come back and say his ruling originally? Didn't he call the murders attempted murder? Yeah. Oh, at the beginning?
Yeah, he called them attempted murder at the beginning.
I was thinking of
my theory on what I think happened. What I think happened at deliberation.
Yeah, what do you think?
That. That's what it feels like sometimes.
I'm sorry, you started saying something, but you cat got you.
Oh yeah, no, I said it, but then I showed you. This is what I feel like happened at the deliberation. There we go.
Jesus fucking Christ.
D20 OJ.
Yeah, it was a little shocking, right? We believe you did all these things, and you know what? We're barely sending you in. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do you think Barrett is in on all this? Like, it was some kind of big master plan or something?
Honestly, I have my very high suspicions.
Yeah. Well, like what? An orchestration?
Yeah.
What,
You know how I like to pull on threads?
Yeah.
Yeah, that bitch is furry.
I am of the same opinion. I've felt that way for, well, for about a week now, I'd say. It would be curious. Yeah. I'm sort of running through how I feel, because I had this sort of paused in the back of my mind, right? It's just the foulness of it.
Yeah.
Did you speak with Grayson?
Yeah. After the court case?
Yeah. Did he mention anything to you alarming about the deliberation?
You mean how the deliberation took 3 times as long as the court case?
Yes.
Yeah, and how he was taking phone calls in the hallway during his deliberation?
Yep. I'd be curious of a thread, no?
Yeah. It's not the only thread.
Really? It's moments like this, I wish I was a marshal.
Why don't you?
That is now a very interesting
prospect.
Yeah, not one that I've ever contemplated or even weighed. Huh.
Our Constitution, our government, provides no checks and balances except for that of the marshals.
What if I became a marshal?
The checks and balances of our government lies strictly in the power and ability of our marshals. Should the marshals fall, our government shall lay waste.
And some guy keep all the guns in the evidence locker, bro. It's a very interesting prospect that I'm going to weigh, especially with the amount of corruption taking place. Maybe it does need another hand in there.
I'll tell you, if I don't quit and burn the whole fucking place down on my way out, which is not really my style, but damn if it isn't tempting some days. We could definitely use the help, but you've already been through a lot. And it's a stressful job. I won't lie to you. It is a very stressful, strenuous, mind-numbing job.
I don't think it could be any worse than being the mayor these last 9 months.
You might be surprised. Anytime even if you do things perfectly right, you're always wrong in the court of public opinion.
The thing is, I think you've done a lot of good for the state, and I think it's been people don't see it, right? And it happens with me too. You have to let people know. And it's because people live day to day, and they're very quick to forget. And what I mean by that is like these impeachments that you're doing, regardless of what the outcome is, the information's out there, and that has done a lot more value than people will ever realize. It may not be enough to turn the tide, but it's at least a step that, at minimum, holds the wall. And it's the same vein of how I've kept myself going, is that while I may not be creating change, I've at least held things in place. And that's how I see it. But it goes back as well, there, Barrett, about do you want to be a puppet or the puppeteer? And I think in many ways with what you're doing, you're driving in that direction of the second option. And, you know, I want you to know that regardless of what happens, Barrett, if there's ever anything you need to know, things can be shared in a bit more confidence. Probably things that you know that I don't know, and vice versa, that need to be resolved at a different level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways.
The things I wish I could share with you. Dear Jesus.
Yeah.
You think it's bad from what you see. Ugh.
Huh. Yeah. Trust me, I hear things. And I believe it. If there's things that I know of, because of all the yapping that happens, I know the reality is probably significantly worse.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take your offer into consideration, genuinely. I'll let you know in the next couple days.
Yeah, sounds like a fun time, right?
Yeah. All right. Oh, put that away. All right. See you around.